The All-Star break is over, and the Brewers are getting ready to start the second half. And we got a heck of a guest for you today. General Manager of your Milwaukee Brewers, Matt Arnold, is joining the show next.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Good morning, wherever you may be listening from. My name is Dominic Cotroneo. This is Locked On Brewers, your only daily podcast dedicated to the Brew Crew all season long. The All-Star break is over. We are ready for baseball. The sprint is about to begin. And today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. They've got you covered all season with more props, more odds, and more lines than ever before. BetOnline is where the game starts. So let me jump out in front here. If you're watching on YouTube, it looks like I am in a closet right now. Well, the answer is because I am currently in a closet recording this. I am in Oakland, California at the very moment of recording this. If you're listening to this Friday, as I presume you will, yesterday and Thursday as I'm recording this, getting ready to head back to Milwaukee here today as the Brewers will take on the Rockies tonight at 7:10. Corbin Burnes on the mound against Antonio Senzatella, as the Rockies will be a wraparound series, a 4-game series. It goes all the way to Monday. So this episode isn't really previewing that series, but we are talking about Matt Arnold. The general manager of the Brewers joined us, very kind to spend about 25 minutes with him talking about trade deadline, talking about the Major League Draft. We talked about his background and coming from the Rays and coming from so many different areas of experience in this game of baseball to be the best general manager he can be, along with David Stearns as the president of baseball operations. And the Brewers prepare for this final home stretch as 93 games down. I mean, it's real now. There's 69 games to go, and the countdown starts today as the Brewers are facing the Rockies, who are better than their record gives them credit for. They're 43-50. Obviously, Coors has something to do with that, but it's the battle of the Brewers. You got Coors versus Miller. Let's have some fun with this one. 7:10 tonight, 6:10 tomorrow, 1:10 Sunday, and then back to 7:10 on Monday for this wraparound series. Before then, the Brewers get ready to welcome in the Twins for a quick 2-gamer before hitting the road next weekend in Boston with an off day on Thursday. I want to get you to Matt Arnold here in just a second. Before we do that, our friends at LinkedIn are helping small businesses hire the right people. They're making it easier than ever to grow your team. LinkedIn Jobs wants to help you find the people you want to interview faster and for free. You can create a free job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond to the largest professional network of over 810 million people are on LinkedIn. Your job is going to be seen. You can even use the purple hashtag hiring frame to make sure that your profile is spread and that your network knows you are trying to find somebody to hire. Small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs will help you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Every week, nearly 40 million job seekers are visiting LinkedIn, so you can post your job for free there at linkedin.com/LockedOnMLB. Again, one more time, linkedin.com/LockedOnMLB to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Matt Arnold on the show next. Folks know that David Stearns is the president of baseball operations, and folks know that you're the general manager. But then we see a lot of David doing interviews, talking to folks, and when we talk to the media, they say, oh, David's making calls, things like that. But we all knew growing up, the general manager is the one's making that call. So can you help explain why some folks might have your two roles confused?
Yeah, so we have a really good partnership. David and I have worked together now for 7 years, and it's great. We do everything basically hand in hand, and he, I think, handles a lot more of the forward-facing stuff, and I probably handle a lot more of the rear-facing stuff. But David's obviously the guy in charge here, and so we try to deliver upon his vision and our vision together as an organization to try to win a championship. And so we have a great partnership. He's a great guy to work with, as good as you could possibly hope. And we have a really good team around us too. So, we're insulated by really good people, and we like to balance each other's perspectives. He's got a lot of different perspectives from the organizations he's worked with, coming up in a very different way than I did. And so his experience balanced with mine, I think, is a really nice partnership. So love working with him, and so far it's been a great place to work.
Talking about your experiences, you're coming from the Rays organization that, as we've all talked about for years and years, like how do they keep doing this? How are they doing that? You were, with Andrew Friedman in those days with the Rays. Seems like a family tree has started forming from the folks in that Rays front office right now. What about that team and that front office do you think has made it so attractive for other teams to say, man, what Tampa Bay's got going on, we got to figure out what's happening in their front office and bring them to our teams?
Yeah, I mean, it starts with good people, right? I mean, anytime you have a good franchise, it feels like it starts with good ownership, good leadership, and everybody around you. I mean, it's a huge operation now at this point. I remember, when I first got in this game, we didn't have as much specialization, and now at this point, we really have guys that are focused on very small, niches in their jobs. And so now what the Rays have been able to do is develop, I think, very well-rounded people around the game. And that's a credit to, Matt Silverman and Andrew Friedman and Stu Sternberg and everybody in that franchise. And hopefully we're able to do the same thing here. I mean, Mark Attanasio, our owner is super supportive with our staff, and we're already seeing guys. We lost Mike Grumman to the Boston Red Sox this offseason as an assistant GM already. So we're starting to hopefully see some of that here in a good way for these people, because we got a great group of people here as well.
When you first heard about an opening with the Brewers, and how did that process go about? Did David call you? Did Mark call you? What does it become to move from Tampa Bay to Milwaukee as a general manager?
Quite a whirlwind. Yeah. I mean, I first was contacted by David. I met him a few times at meetings, had great interactions with him, and was able to connect with him when he reached out, and ended up talking to Mark Attanasio as well. And, when something feels right, you just kind of know it, when you get in that car or, whatever you're trying to purchase, and you try to make sure it's a fit for both sides. I mean, that's really what it felt like. And really good community here, good people, and just felt really good. And so obviously, having been with the Rays for 10 years, that wasn't an easy decision, and have a ton of good friends there. I was just down there last week with the team, and Eric Neander tackled me right when I got off the bus. First thing I got off, I just got blindsided by him, and just seeing different people in the clubhouse. And it was strange going into the visiting side, honestly, having been there for 10 years, but trying to still figure my way around the Trop, after leaving there, but a ton of great relationships there. And that's what it felt like here. And that's what we've tried to build here, is a really good family environment for our players, for our staff, our front office. And it's been a great community feeling. And I appreciate the opportunity that David and Mark have afforded to me here.
Be honest, you're a California guy, you're working in Tampa Bay for years, and then you hear Milwaukee and you're thinking, okay, winter. Be honest, what was your first reaction?
So that was my wife's first reaction. Was the weather? Are you sure? And again, I was with Cincinnati for almost 5 years, and so we figured we got a taste of the snow there. It's different up here though, buddy. It's next level cold here. So we get some serious weather up here, but it's fun. I like getting out and shoveling the driveway a little bit. I don't mind it. And the summers are awesome. I encourage people to come visit out here. I would, maybe less in January, but I would say, the summertime's awesome here. Summerfest is great. For anybody who gets a chance to come visit, this is a great place to be in the summer for sure.
As somebody who just experienced his first real winter, I totally vouch with all that. Well, the summer makes it worth it. It's all good. It all makes it easier. I hope your wife has kind of seen the light a little bit, right?
Yeah. She loves it. Yeah, it's a great setup here for sure.
That's great. And we're going to talk about the team in a little bit too, but I want to just quickly touch on your background. You mentioned the Reds. You've been with the Rangers previously. You've been with the Rays, obviously, previously. We've talked ad nauseum too. But going back to college and going back to all this, did you think of a front office role as what you wanted to do in baseball all along? When did all this begin for you?
Yeah, I think what happened, honestly, a guy named Al Ferrer, who was the head coach at UC Santa Barbara, introduced me to an opportunity with the Dodgers as an intern there, that this was a possibility to get in the game. And I didn't really know much about it. And honestly, just, was fortunate to put a word in on my behalf, and ended up getting that job in LA, and commuting down from Santa Barbara to LA every day is a little bit of a hike, but it was worth it. It was a great opportunity just to get my foot in the door. And then really from there, it's just been learning about the different spaces. I've been fortunate to where, a ton of different hats, work in the field as a scout, work in the front office, work around analytics, work, around player development and, in the draft just recently. And, been around the draft for a number of years and just to wear a lot of hats, in just a lot of different spaces. Obviously the stuff on the pro side. So it's just something every day. Right. And now they've sort of condensed the calendar for us. So there's no more break, right? Everyone talks about the All-Star break. We had the draft during the break or whatever that break is. And then we get right in the trade deadline. So I've already been on the phone today with a number of teams, just rolling right into it. And so it just keeps it fun. It's still learning every day. Again, like I said earlier, just surrounded by really good people and having a lot of fun with it.
You mentioned you're already on the phone with a few teams. I'm not going to tell you, say, hey, which teams are you calling right now? But is it really that simple for fans who don't know to say, hey, insert general manager, president of baseball operations here? What are you thinking? How does that initiation work?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, sometimes, it is a similar, like, hey, how's it going? Or, we connected with a lot of teams, I think, during the draft, at some points. And, it is wonky to kind of have a draft meeting and then, take a trade deadline phone call and then have to come back in and talk about some high school kids, so trying to just stay focused, honestly, it can be a challenge. But it really is. And it's about relationships with these other guys, having worked in the game now for over 20 years, you just know people around the game. And so it's as much as just talking about your families and getting in to see if there's a fit with another team. That's what it's about. It's about making a good baseball deal that helps both sides. That's what we're hoping to do.
And when it comes to the war room this past year, I mean, with 3 straight days, we had 2 rounds on Sunday night, then Monday, Tuesday, finish things up. What is that chaos like? You already mentioned talking about trade deadlines, but you actually still have to make picks and call agents and call representation. And what is the chaos and the moment to moment like? It sounds like there's a lot of time between picks, but I'm sure it doesn't feel like there's a lot of time between picks.
No, it does not. I think the one big thing is we have a lot of meetings. We have all of our scouts come in before, and now over COVID, we learned how to Zoom with people and understand, I think, what we're trying to do as far as evaluations of the players. And so we try to get all that done up front as much as we can. Obviously that's a challenge, but we try to get the valuations in order. And then, when the pick is close, you got to have some backups, right? You can get your pocket pick right in front of you. You get somebody taken, and then there's a, mad scramble. What about this guy? What about this guy? And you don't want to have that happen. I mean, sometimes it will. Inevitably, I mean, you can have a run of players you thought might have been taken right in front of you. The one interesting thing that I would add to the chaos this year is that, we had a Def Leppard and Motley Crue concert scheduled the night of day one of the draft. So that was a little bit interesting. So we actually did the first day of the draft at our owner's office downtown here. He was kind enough to let us use that. I've heard from other teams where those concerts have traveled, that it was quite an adventure in the days after when they were doing the draft, with those concerts going on in the background. I mean, we tested it out a little bit with some audio and some earlier concerts, and we were just like, nah, this is not going to work for us with Motley Crue. We were joking about maybe they could announce our picks, it could have some fun with it. But it ended up working out great down at Mark's office. So we avoided the additional chaos by moving the draft this year, at least for day one, to Mark's office, and then days 2 and 3 back to the ballpark. But yeah, it's always something like that, right? That keeps it fun. But yeah, hopefully we can avoid the concerts next year during the draft.
One quick jump in here to tell you about our presenting sponsor today, BetOnline.net, the easiest way to check in on all your betting needs, find your favorite sports and events on the #1 online source for odds, lines, and games. You can find reviews and news of every league. Obviously, in the full swing of Major League Baseball, they've got odds on where Kevin Durant is going to land. They've got odds on golf on there, too. Things are getting spicy with LIV right now. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports wagering information. From live in-game betting to scores and podcasts, they have you covered. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to learn more about the action and get in on it. BetOnline, where the game starts. I'm not going to make you go through all 20 picks here, but can you at least tell us a little something about, let's say, the day one picks, the first 3 guys taken by the Brewers: Eric Brown Jr. from Coastal Carolina, Jacob Mizorowski from Crowder College, who some Brewers fans may know Aaron Ashby came from, and Robert Moore out of Arkansas, another shortstop. Let's just go through each one of those guys. Let's start with the first one the Brewers took, in Eric Brown Jr.
Yeah, so Eric is a tremendous athlete. His agent Barry Meister was actually Craig Counsell's agent, so we had some connections there with him as a kid, and also Drew Thomas is a coach now for us with our Carolina team, and he managed that Coastal Carolina team for a number of years. So just the reports we got on this kid were just top of the charts, right? And so that's a big thing for us is quality of character, the type of people that we're going to bring into the system. And then when you stack on the type of tools that this kid has, premium shortstop, really good bat to ball skills, good swing decisions, hits the ball hard, things we like, super athletic. It's a pretty unorthodox type of approach, but once he gets the ball in play, he does some damage with it, right? So that's a really fun profile. We're excited about him. Jacob Mizorowski is a guy that, as the draft continued to progress and we started getting closer and closer, we kept circling back to this guy's name in conversations. Like this kid throws, he's just warming up at 96, right? And so that's kind of fun. Big body. We've known him since he was in high school. He goes out to Crowder, and I think early in the season, as we talked about earlier, the weather up north can be a little bit dicey, and so I think his command progressed as the weather got a little bit better. But this is a big physical kid, that sits at the top, 99 range and has a really good breaking ball. I mean, really good ingredients, I think, overall, and we think he has a chance to be a starter in this league for a while. And so we're excited about him, adding him to our mix with our pitching development. Cam Castro and those guys in our system do a tremendous job with our pitching development. So handing those kind of tools over to those guys, I think, is really exciting. And then the last, I mean, certainly not the last guy here, but I would say just of the group that you mentioned, Robert Moore is a really special kid. He's, as you may know, he's Dayton Moore's son with the Royals, and heard from them, and honestly, people all over the game just raving about this kid as a person, which shouldn't surprise anybody if you know Dayton Moore and the type of character that he has. Top of the charts type of kid, similar to Eric Brown. I mean, Gold Glove type defender, really interesting athlete, a guy that we're excited to add to our system as well. So, it's a fun group of guys. I mean, when you finish day one of the draft, your group, is usually high-fiving and feeling good about it, and our group was really fired up to get these guys. Yeah,
for those who don't know, Dayton Moore is the president of baseball operations for the Royals, their general manager, if you will. But one more pick I want to get to before we talk about the big league team. I think you know where I'm going with this. In the 18th round, and I am going to absolutely butcher his pronunciation, you drafted a switch pitcher, Urangulo Ciente, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, out of Florida. A switch pitcher? Is he legitimately a switch pitching prospect?
He is. Actually, we were joking around about it because he's also a switch hitter. I mean, a lot of people talk about him throwing 90 plus from both sides. He also plays shortstop, and he's a switch hitter. So we talk about these guys, the two-way guys. I mean, we talked about him. We were joking about him being a four-way guy, right? I mean, he's a guy that can do so many different things, and we have a little bit of a split camp on honestly whether we think he's a better infielder versus a pitcher, right? From both sides. I mean, it's just a fascinating weapon. Had some history with Pat Venditti going back to the switch pitching, back in the day. And this kid has really good ingredients from both sides. I mean, it is fascinating. I can't even mouse with my laptop left-handed, right? So I mean, for this kid to do these kinds of things that he's doing is really, really impressive, and a really good kid as well. So yeah, I mean, he's what sounds like the real deal. So we'll see if we can get something done there. But yeah, a really interesting guy. We felt like there in the 18th made sense to take a shot at.
Well, congrats on completing the draft. And now you get to have the chaos of a little more than 10 days of trade deadline season. With the expanded playoffs, more teams are going to be buyers, potentially fewer teams could be sellers. What is your landscape of how the market looks like right now? What is readily available? What is not as available? And are there going to be more buyers this year as Major League Baseball had hoped there would be?
I think that's probably right. I would think there probably will be more teams buying. I think to your point, just because of the added playoff spots. So I think that increases the likelihood that the prices go up. Right. Anytime there's less options to work with, the prices go up. So we're going to have to factor all those in. But yeah, I mean, we feel really good about our big league team right now and where they are. And this is a team that is at a point, I think, where they are, we are accustomed to, a good product on the field, I think is what the expectation is here. And so that is our expectation where we are at this point. And so the guys downstairs don't like to lose. It's not, in a really good way. Right. So I think that these guys have deserved, the opportunity here to hopefully see if we can supplement this team and continue to make a push into October. I mean, we're fortunate that we've been able to make the playoffs here for 4 straight years, and we'd like to make it 5 if we can. So we're going to do our best to see what we can do to help this club, down the stretch.
I think for folks, obviously so much is made about the Willie deal from last year. And looking at what Rowdy has done with the Brewers since coming over from Toronto, and those two deals are obviously intertwined with Trevor Richards in being involved in both of those deals. But I think an under-the-radar deal that happened last year was Hunter Strickland. I mean, he pitched in the postseason. And for, maybe, and John Curtis obviously got injured too and gave a chance to Daniel Norris. For teams that know, look, you can never have too many arms. Is that still a thing that the Brewers could have on their docket here coming up in the trade deadline?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's exactly right. I mean, we've sort of built our squad around pitching and defense in a lot of ways, right? And so if there's an opportunity to supplement that, I think we definitely look at it. That being said, I mean, we do feel good about our depth there, but to your point, I mean, we went out and added more last year, and a guy like Strickland stepped up and did a really good job, for us last year. And those kind of guys certainly help this caliber of a team. And I think somebody with his experience as well, having pitched the back end of games and with a lot of experience, I think is a really good addition. So we'll be on the lookout for those types of guys potentially, and hopefully there's another fit. If
you're putting out a flyer to a team, and you can reveal as much as you want or you don't want, but if you're putting out a wanted sign by the Brewers and saying, the descriptors, if you're in the old Wild West, to say, brown mustache, tan cowboy hat, and black boots. Now, if we're talking Brewers wanted, insert position, insert handedness, insert profile, what is on that wanted sheet for the Brewers this deadline?
Well, I think with the cowboy hat and boots, I think you just described Strickland, honestly. That was him. Right. So, I mean, and he was tremendous here, but no, I think, look, I mean, the one nice thing, with the way we're structured is that I don't know if there's any just like one spot you could just plug and say, hey, like this is something we can definitely upgrade, because I do feel like we have solid depth, I think, around our team. And so, I think the Eduardo Escobar trade is an example of that. A guy that has some versatility, that can play some third, some first, some, up the middle a little bit if you need him to, can DH. I mean, having that kind of flexibility is something we really value. And then when you go around the club and you kind of look at like, where could we upgrade? There isn't really what I would say sort of a black hole necessarily. And so we feel good about the depth that we have to sort of supplement this group. And so if there's an opportunity that presents itself, in that range, I think it's certainly worth talking about. So we're open to ideas, I think, on a number of different fronts of ways to supplement the team, and having the flexibility that we have doesn't necessarily mean that we're lacking in some areas necessarily, but it's just a nice way to sort of round out a really solid core.
As far as an off-season acquisition that, as we know, March was a frenetic month as well once the lockout was lifted, the Andrew McCutchen signing is certainly paying off its dividends right now. Talk us through what actually occurred between the Brewers front office and McCutchen and his representation, and how I'm sure both parties are very happy with how things are going right now with Kutch.
Yeah, look, he's been great to have around, and got off to a little bit of a slow start and had COVID, and now the last month or so he's been great, and that's the guy that we've expected, and who he is, honestly, as we talked about what he does in the clubhouse, his energy. I mean, you see what he does on the field. Great smile, always running hard. I mean, his speed is top of the charts. I mean, I think that's very underappreciated sometimes when you see a guy that, he's just playing a lot of DH or whatever. Like this guy can still really run, and he's got another gear in there, and he still has big power too. And we've seen that more lately as well. So, great guy, thrilled to have him, as that worked out through spring training, as you start to work through different options and you see, hey, this guy might be a possibility here. Just having the support of Mark Attanasio, our ownership was huge in this. And so ended up having some good conversations with Kutch, and it ended up working out, which is great. And he's been a wonderful addition.
And speaking of offseason acquisition, it really came down to the final few hours. The Victor Caratini deal, right at the deadline. Can you give us a rough timeline of, obviously, Severino's suspension comes across the wire. To the rest of us, you guys knew a little bit earlier than the rest of the world, but you really had 48 hours there from the end of camp breaking to being at Wrigley Field for opening day to have a backup catcher. What was that like?
We talked about some of the stuff with the draft earlier, probably similar to that, right? We gotta find another option, right? If we get our pocket picked in front of us, what do we do here? So, made some phone calls and ended up working out. And Vic has been, beyond what we could have even hoped for, honestly. And we felt really good about getting that guy, but, to bring him in here and for what he's done for our team has been really good. So, obviously getting Severino back and he's done a nice job here so far as well. It's a nice group, especially when you complement them with somebody like Omar Narvaez as well. And so we've tried to work on some flexibility there, like we talked about earlier with these guys, and some of them getting a shot at first base and DH to just try to keep those bats in the lineup. But yeah, similar to the draft, we had a little bit of a fire drill there, but it ended up working out, and thrilled to have Vic on our side.
The fire drill is a perfect descriptor of what this last week's been for you, and that final week of camp and everything is as we get prepared to start the second half of the season today. I want to thank you for taking some time with us. Let's just end on a positive note here as well, though. For the Brewers fans, they're still in first place, 4 straight years in the postseason. You got 7 more games head-to-head with the Cardinals, a ton of home games coming. Sell, how great this could be, this second half, of how fun, a 5th straight postseason appearance is what the Brewers obviously expect and hope to strive for. And what do you think will get it done to get to that point, to make it 5 straight postseason appearances?
Yeah, I mean, look, we've battled a lot, I think, through the first half, and with a lot of injuries. You've seen a number of guys go down, and for us to be in this spot, I mean, we're thrilled with it. And then when you see, like we talked about earlier, the summertime in Milwaukee, I mean, there's no better place to be than American Family Field, right? And so it's an awesome place. They keep building more bars and restaurants around the ballpark with great food that, I walk by and I'm like trying to be good and not stop and eat all the good stuff there, but they're so good. I mean, it's just a fun place to be. And when everybody's in there, it's as good as it gets, honestly. And having come from Tropicana Field, nothing bad about Tropicana Field or Oakland Coliseum where you are right now. But these kind of places, American Family Field has another level in it. It's another gear when it comes to our fan base. And I love being here, especially late in the season when it's packed. So we'd love to see everybody come out and support the team down the stretch.
How much Brew Crew gear have you had to send to friends and family who wanted the City Connect stuff?
I mean, it starts with my kids, right? I mean, they're all over me for trying to get stuff. So I got to start there. Jason Schauger, our equipment guy, is a little tight with our stuff. So, you gotta be really nice to him and fill the goblet for him a little bit if you get anything gear from him. But no, I'm definitely getting knocked, a lot of knocks for that gear. It's really cool stuff.
I love it. Fantastic. Well, Matt Arnold, thank you so much for taking some time. We wish you good health and good luck the rest of this baseball season. And thanks for taking some time with some Locked On Brewers fans.
Sure thing. Thanks, Dom. I appreciate you having me.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.